Hello, this is Smita Kumar, and you're watching Medicircle. Today, on our healthcare influencer series, we have Sumit Agarwal with us. Sumit Agarwal is an inspiration to many. Born with cerebral palsy, Sumit only had 30% of the bodily movement. He underwent 4 surgeries, each more dangerous than the other. His arduous journey has gifted him many gems of wisdom and have made him an expert in communication. His story has reached millions through platforms like Forbes, Fortune India, TED Talks from the United Nations. So, hi Sumit, welcome to Medicircle Influencer Series.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So I'm very much excited to host you because earlier we only used to interview doctors or healthcare startup entrepreneurs, but it's the first time that we have started this influencer series, and you are our first guest on this healthcare influencer series.
Wonderful. Because I believe that health is something everybody dabbles in. It's not just a subject of doctors. Although I have spent my life, uh, half of my life with doctors and nurses, so I understand how they work and how they always try to help people. It's more about the mindset, really.
Definitely. So, Sumit, we would like to know, like, that as cerebral palsy is like a restrictive disorder, and you have suffered from this and have triumphed it also. So, tell us something about your journey.
So I was born on 7 months, and the doctor said either the mother will survive or the son will survive. And unfortunately, both of us survived, and I was left with cerebral palsy. So I had to go through 4 major surgeries, one after the other. And in the process, what happened is I am not able to walk or stand without support, without any kind of support. After that, when I started my schooling, I was rejected from 30 schools. Most of the time, they said that we don't accept these kind of people here. So, I was too young to understand what they meant by these kind of people. So after a while, I got admitted into a normal school. For that, my mother had to quit her job as a lawyer, and she had to fight with the education institutions that my son will be educated in the mainstream schools only. He won't go for a special school. So that is what happened. And after I did my schooling, after I did my MBA, during schooling days also I did not make too many friends because they thought I was different. I walked different, I looked different, and I talked different. So they thought he's different, let us isolate him. So I was isolated. And fortunately, I was a great believer in social media. When I started being in class 9, 10, 11, I joined Orkut. That time there was no Facebook. That time there was Orkut. So I joined Orkut. I made a lot of friends. I used to hang out with them. So, I was always a great believer that you can use technology to overcome any kind of disability that you have, which is 100% true, because now a lot of startups are coming up in the space of assistive technology, like to provide enhancements to your body so that it can overcome any kind of limitations. So that happened, and after I did my schooling, I did my MBA, I did my mass comm, I did a lot of things. So after that, I started sitting for interviews, and they said, you are an MBA in marketing. Marketing requires traveling, and you cannot walk, so you cannot meet clients. That time, in 2016, I suggested that I could use Skype, something called Skype. And they said nothing happens online, you need to travel. So I said, okay, you don't give me a job, then I'll create my own agency and give jobs to other people. I don't need to work for you. So it took a whole goddamn pandemic for people to realize that everything can be done sitting in front of a PC.
Definitely. And that you were doing in 2016 before the pandemic, that
Yes,
sales can
yes.
also be done online.
I I never took up a physical office space. In my entire life, I never took up a physical office space. Most of my people work for me from UP, from Bombay, from Bangalore, from Kolkata, and most of my clients are in Israel, are in UK, are in US. I've never met most of the people I work with face to face.
That's great. So definitely online we have woken up to this fact after pandemic that yes, meetings can be done online and things can really work. That's the new normal. But yes, as an sales guy, people generally expect you to travel to track some beauties. So, but there are little bit more other problems also, Sumit, that people with special needs face on a daily basis. So, how what can be the inspiration and what can be the things that they can do so that they are able to do all those other things which people can do and there is no such hindrance in their performances.
Let me get a bit technical here, right? According to the RPWD Act, which is Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act, in 2016, it was the revised act for rights of persons with disabilities in India. Right? When it became an act in 2016, what happened is it recognized 21 types of different disabilities apart from autism, cerebral palsy, visual impairedness. There were things included like dwarfism, acid attack victims, and other categories of disability. So what I believe specifically is any person having any sort of disability, every person has their own different set of requirements. So there's no universal model which fits everybody, right? It's like you know, everybody has their own choices, own taste, sense of belonging. So it's not a one size shoe that fits everybody. That cannot happen. So what can be done is to identify the strengths in the core areas, and then to find out that what works for them and what doesn't work for them. Because I know a lot of people, for example, I am very vocal in front of the media, right? I am very adept at giving interviews. I know a lot of people with disabilities who are not comfortable with interviews and, not even showing their face. Because, for example, especially victims of acid attack, after they go through that trauma, it might take them some time to recover and to show up at interviews and at public places. So there are things that we have to consider, that what the person is going through and what the person wants.
So as per you, like Sumit, there are a lot of measures that should be there that you can suggest for more diversity and inclusion in India, especially when it comes to healthcare. So any suggestions would you like to share with the audience and the
So a couple of things, right? One, when it comes to, I am the SDG ambassador for diversity and inclusion for a lot of organizations in India, and I've represented India in various international conferences in diversity and inclusion. And what happens is in India, if you look at people with disabilities specifically, when you speak about diversity and inclusion, the rights of women, employment of women, LGBTQ rights, they take the front seat, and people with disabilities are pushed down to the back seat. Right? That's number one. Number two is, even if an organization is employing people with disabilities, For example, I know a lot of companies who employ people with disabilities in India who have recently started with it. What I see is people with disabilities form the maximum part of the workforce of the frontline workers. As I start to go up in the higher management, the numbers start to dwindle. Right? So it's more of a charity mindset that we are employing people with disabilities rather than giving them real opportunities. I don't think this window dressing thing is going to work for a long time. Either you give them real opportunities, either you don't give them any opportunities.
That's
Because giving them a very few handouts is more derogatory than a benefit to the society.
definitely. So because they see, when we are hiring people with special needs, definitely we should be giving them equal opportunities. But because they are not disabled, but they are differently able, they are also capable of so many things which other people may not. So definitely they have got some great
Everybody
talent.
is, I don't agree with the term differently able because everybody has some different capabilities.
Yes, yes,
I mean, the entire world is differently able, if you say so, because I don't see anybody being similar to somebody, you know.
and any being
Everybody is different.
perfect, and anybody being perfect, everybody has some or the other sort of imperfections, and it is just that we need to carry on with that, and we should be carrying on with that and just not treat it as any sort of disabilities.
Yeah.
Sumit, my next question to you is like, as you have committed towards improvising the lives of 1 million people with disabilities. So tell us more about it.
See, if I look at the numbers, right, let me get a bit numerical here. Um, if you look at India, right, the statistics according to 2011 survey says that 2% of the Indian population is disabled. After 2016, the act got ratified and a lot of people with disabilities were included, right? And there has not been any survey to uh, determine a specific number. But if I include the people with disabilities, their families, and the immediately affected relatives who are with them, what happens is I will see that it constitutes 15% of the Indian population, which is definitely more than a million, way above 1 million, right? So the thing is, if I look at the employment statistics as per 2011, only 0.6% of people with disabilities are employed. Either they are self-employed, either they are working somewhere. After COVID, my belief is that has gone down because there are several factors for it. One of the factors being people with disabilities are victims of the digital divide. Not all of them are adept in using computers, using tablets, using smartphones. Most of the people with disabilities live in a rural area where they have issues like a wonderful language. They cannot access content that is on the net because most of the content on Google or any other search engine is basically on English.
Yes.
And so there are certain things which I believe that people with disabilities, the only way out for them is to become entrepreneurs. Even if it's a small shop or a kirana store, you have to earn on your own because I don't believe that there are adequate opportunities in India to sustain such a large populace.
Yes, and as like, I would also be sharing some figures here. Like the total children, like 60% of them of the specially able children. So 60% of them are either suffering from ADHD or cerebral palsy or autism or any sort of intellectual disability, and nearly 15 to 20% of the physically disabled children are affected by cerebral palsy. Also, the UNESCO report states that, like in the State Education Report for India 2019, Children with Disabilities, it states that 27% of the disabled children were between the age group of 5 and 19 who did not get any access to education. Now, that's very, very sad because due to this lack of access to the education system, it actually damages the chances of living an independent life. And as Sumit rightly said, that you have to stand on your own. And the only way out left is either being an entrepreneur so that you can sustain and survive on your own because opportunities are very limited. So through this medium, I would like to, definitely, raise the voice to give more and more opportunities to more such people because they are also so much talented. It's just not out, and this opportunity should not be just out of charity. It is because they are deserving that, and that is why that opportunity should be given to them, irrespective of any kind of differences made. They also, definitely should be giving those respects which is being given to all any other people. And when we talk about any sort of disability, see, every person is not same, not perfect. There are a lot of things when we also feel that, okay, we are all not perfect and we lack somewhere or the other. So why not? Why differentiate people? Why label them? So definitely the mindset of people must change. And we have got a very great example, very good example of Sumit Agarwal here. That he is doing good and he is trying now to change the lives of other disabled people to a more better life so that they can also live a life of respect. And that's so good, Sumit, that you are thinking and you are doing in this direction. We would definitely wish you all the best for this particular mission of yours. And thank you so much for joining us today at this healthcare startup series. I feel that the education system must definitely change. It's actually the beginning when we start differentiating them, labeling them, children, because when I actually interview doctors on autism, children with autism and ADHD, the numbers are increasingly, it's like increasing on a very alarming rate because the more the stress levels with the parents, the more the economic change, environment changes are happening, there are more such children which are there. So how many children you can actually label as special and you need to send them to special schools? So it is, this education system must change and must accept them with open hands because education is the birthright of every child. And that is the only thing which can change because Sumit is now here. It is just because his mother had helped him and fought with all those education systems and made sure that he went to a normal school, a general school and not a special.
You have to entirely sacrifice your career. And, that instilled in me the great talent, vigor to actually face anything in the world. So actually quitting one's career without a second thought, that's very noble thing to do.
Definitely. I think that is why we say that wherever there's no God, mothers are there. So mother is really someone who take care of and who will be there with all your, whenever there is a problem or whenever you need them the most. So thank you once again, Sumit, for joining us. You are really an inspiration to all of us. And we would like to share this thing that please do not do a charity, or rather give them the chance, that the thing which they deserve, and accept them with open arms. Thank you so much, audience, and we look forward to your reviews and feedback of this video. Thank you for watching Medicircle.